Thank you so much for allowing us into your social space. My name is Patricia Lukoma, and this is UBC Tonight on this 28th day of July. And first, let us look at the Presidential Press Unit, where President Yoweri Museveni has advised countries, organizations and people that are in a culture of fomenting, sponsoring and promoting unjustified opportunistic wars, terrorism and criminality both on the African continent and in the entire world to stop it. He explained that they are wasting their time as history has proved that humanity has overcome all forms of injustices that have come their ways over the years. Let's hear more in this report.
In the first session of the second Russian-Africa Summit this morning in the Russian city of St. Petersburg, President Yoweri Museveni said that fighting an unjust war is a waste of time, and even if the perpetrator comes out victorious, the gains of such a war are likely to be very temporary.
Those who foment wars on account of ideological issues are wrong, and they are time and opportunity wasters. Human history will move on whether they like it or not. The only justified wars are the just wars, like the anti-colonial wars. Wars of hegemony will fail and waste time and opportunity.
He castigated forces in Africa and foreign ones that are in a culture of overthrowing legitimate and democratically elected governments in Africa, the recent one having taken place in Niger, an act he said was shameful in the modern era. President Museveni further used the occasion to call upon Russia and other developed allies of Africa to help the continent do away with exploitation of raw materials by supporting the continent's industrialization agenda.
Those are products like processed coffee instead of bean coffee, chocolate instead of cocoa beans, textiles instead of just cotton, steel instead of iron ore. Iron ore, we call it, our languages are richer than English, we call it obtare. Obtare, that's iron ore, different from the metal. Electric batteries instead of just lithium, etc.
In his remarks, the Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Russia has at all times been an ally of Africa from her independence struggle and is on record to have never attempted to plunder any part of Africa, but rather have contributed to the development of the continent. He added that Russia has at all times been monitoring with interest the plight of Africa in areas of security, economic exploitation and humanitarian issues, and said that the country has always and will continue working with Africa in these areas in line with the United Nations Charter. President Vladimir Putin added that Russia and Africa are united in the fight against terrorism, climate change, and the imposition of unilateral sanctions by self-seeking nations. He commended the African leaders for their input in trying to find a solution in the conflict in Ukraine and said that Russia attaches a lot of importance to the efforts of the African leaders. Dennis Igor for UBC News.
Now, Alan Farm, an agricultural high-technology firm engaged in cattle keeping, has offered a transfer technology to Uganda to improve on milk production. Alan Farm is located in Sinistra 167 via Migliera 51 between the city of Rome and Naples. And Alan Farm uses technology mostly, and each cattle produces about 52 liters of milk on a daily basis. During her working visit in Italy, the Prime Minister Robina Nabanja went to Alan Farm to find ways of partnership to improve on Uganda's local cattle breeds in milk production. Premier Nabanja was impressed by the work being done and the quality of milk kept at Alan Farm. Nabanja says that the technology being used will greatly improve Uganda's farms and increase profitability. The Prime Minister was flanked by the Executive Director of Uganda Investment Authority, Dr. Robert Mukiza. Uganda's deputy head of mission in Italy, Alimari Kemera, and other technical staff. Government is considering further discussions with the Electoral Commission to harmonize on funds for conducting the local council unit elections. The Minister for Local Government, Raphael Majezi, who defends the 59 billion as required by the Electoral Commission to conduct the elections, also says more consultation on the budget shall be done. Minister Majezi was addressing the media after the extension of the tenure of office of the Administrative Unit Council that has been published on Uganda's Gazette.
This is under the general notice number 1388 of 2023. The Local Governments Act, Cap 243, under Article or Section 175(2) of the Act, extension of term of office of Administrative Unit Councils, Local Council 1 and Local Council 2. I'm performing this duty under Regulation 11A of the Local Government Council's regulations. Notice is hereby given to the general public pursuant to Regulation 11A D of the Local Government Council's regulations that the term of office of the Administrative Unit Councils existing at the commencement of the Local Government Amendment of the Third Schedule Instrument 2023 is hereby extended for a period not exceeding 188 days, with effect from the 10th of July 2023, given under my hand, Raphael Majezi, Minister of Local Government. And then you're saying, yes, it's by lining up. Why does Electoral Commission require that money? As I've told you, we sat with them. We asked them that very question. Why do we need this? And they went through the detailed calculation. Registration of voters at actually now it's 70,626 villages. And indeed, with a few villages increased now, we're talking about 70,717 villages. If you have to do registration of voters at all those polling stations, so is it possible to reduce that cost? We now have 6 months to juggle through that kind of question. Is it possible to look for another alternative method? This is the time. So it's a very big justification you are giving for actually extending this for the next 6 months.
Now looking at the opposition, members of the Forum for Democratic Change, FDC party, have been urged to stop the ongoing verbal artillery because it goes against their slogan of One Uganda, One People. While opening the 16th National Council meeting at FDC headquarters in Najanankumbi, the FDC National Chairman Ambassador Waswa Vidigwa urged for party cohesion instead of party disunity.
Was not interested in the subject matter of elections. It was interested in the report. And so every effort was not to talk about elections. And so there's nothing resolved about elections. We received a committee report without the presence of retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye. It would have been prudent to have him here, but he could not make it because of the security situation out. We were told the people that were interviewed and what their response was. I do believe that you will enjoy the report. It was presented and the report was received. The report was debated and it was resolved that this report will be made public, and that resolution 34 to 8 passed. We also resolved to adopt the report 54 to 1. And so we have a report in the public domain about the matters that were raised in this National Council. Hunger is part of the branches that was approved by the National Executive Committee under the leadership of Honorable Muntu. That has not been recalled. And anybody who alleges that there are two is not right at all. That matter, if you have to disband what you formed, you go back to where you formed it from. And so it is not true that this party has two offices. It's not true.
The elders gave us some reports of their work with the people who were involved in this conflict or struggle. And we are satisfied with the report. It is just forgiveness. We are going back to say, let's forgive. Whatever has happened should be forgiven. The truth is that there was transaction. So those transactions we must forgive so that we move on.
This one is not a one-day process. We have set space. Originally, these people could not talk eye to eye. When we called them, the four together, they came and talked to us. We believe they will now be doing their soul researching, but we shall make some, the party leadership at top, I believe, are trying to find a way of reaching them. Yes.
Before this.
Now, the recently announced government blackout by private media houses in Uganda has collapsed as the framers of the move accepted to take the path of dialogue other than blackmail and sabotage. This has been announced in a memo dated 28th July 2023, as we hear more in this report.
The people who are saying we are not covering are actually in Parliament, covering Parliament.
The decision to give Uganda Broadcasting Corporation UBC and Vision Group government advertisements has stirred public debate.
The respect we give the private broadcasters should be the same respect we give to UBC.
Those opposed to the move have rushed to seek for public sympathy to the extent of dragging Parliament into the matter.
The second petition was from the National Association of Broadcasters regarding the government policy on business to private media houses, where all the work, all the adverts are supposed to only be given to one media house.
Days after the private media owners had indicated a nationwide non-coverage of government-sponsored events, the Broadcasters Association has now opted for dialogue. On Wednesday, 26th July 2023 interview with Dr. Patricia Lukomma, the board member for Vision Group, downplayed the inabilities in the National Association of Broadcasters' accusations that the national broadcaster lacks professionalism.
If you're saying private media is more objective, it's more pluralistic, personally, I think it depends on which side of the coin is. If I'm in opposition, of course that will work for me. But if opposition became government, you'd see the change of ball game. So it depends on which side you're on. So for me, that is not how to look at it.
For political players like retired Major General Mugisha Muntu, UBC should be supported.
Because UBC has got many professional journalists. I believe there are many Ugandans who can manage an outfit like this. And because of the history and the foundation that it already has, it can become a key actor in the dissemination of information, but also in raising the consciousness of the country.
Muntu notes that an independent-minded government media should thrive beyond everyone's expectation.
In my own estimation as a citizen of this country, UBC being a government parastatal, I think the best thing that could happen for UBC is to leave it the space. First get professionals who can run it, then fund it adequately, and let them to build it, to build the credibility, and also to become profitable so that it can run on its own, So government should not interfere with it.
However, Muntu also asserts that much as UBC needs funding, its internal management is crucial.
The management is the most critical thing. Government should stay out. It doesn't matter which government. Let the professionals run it. If that happens, UBC would survive on its own.
The call of strike by National Association of Broadcasters (NAB) testifies to the fact that in the first case, there was no need for the ban.
I don't know hardly how many days have passed or hours. They need the content. Just look at the basic principles of news. What makes news? It starts with the what. The who. The who's are in government, the president is in government, the ministers are in government. When you look at the content, when you look at the bilateral arrangements happening, funding infrastructure, the big news, the oil craze in Uganda, it is government. So you need government, you have to work with government.
Robert Onyango, UBC News.
And in happenings with KCCA Minister for Kampala and the Metropolitan Affairs, Hajat Minsa Kabanda, accompanied by KCCA Executive Director Dorothy Kisaka and several leaders from the division of Kampala, have carried out a road inspection on the ongoing infrastructural development in the divisions of Nakawa and the Central Division. This inspection is aimed at carrying out quality and timely work.
Following the public outcry over the dire state of roads in Kampala, President Museveni responded with a directive to the Ministry of Finance to provide KCCA with 6 billion shillings to help them in road maintenance in the city. Work started with filling of potholes, with others being tarmacked and others being laid with marram. However, KCCA Executive Director Ms. Dorothy Kisaka said the money wasn't enough to carry on with the maintenance of all roads in the city, hence engaging with the African Development Bank, which contributed $288 million to help in the reconstruction of roads in the city. The Minister for Kampala and Metropolitan Affairs, Hajat Minsa Kabanda, together with the KCCA Executive Director, today carried on an inspection of these roads under the ADB project to see commencement of the works.
We have seen Port Bell Road, we have visited it. It was a wetland, so there's still much work to do because a wetland is not treated as a dry area. So we still have to channel the water up to the end and open up the boundaries for the wetland and see how the water is going to, because if we don't, water is going to come back. So we should see how we are going to, so technically we have to look into that. Secondly, we have visited this road, this is Kabiga Road. At least it's almost complete, 80% complete. Soon, by next month, it will be complete.
Member of Parliament Nakawa Ronald Balimwezo, who also doubles as the Chairman Roads Fund Committee at KCCA, says they are to come up with a mechanism of having all roads in the city permanently worked on.
It is going to stop. We are going to be recycling this in maintaining and filling the potholes, because there is an additive that we can add to it and basically make a cold mix so that we can immediately, we don't even need to prepare the potholes. We just put that asphalt and the road is motoring. So that's that's what we're going to use this time.
Although there is ongoing works to have the city roads in good shape, the Mayor of Machindye, Ali Kasirienganda, urges contractors to utilize the money that was given to them to have long lifespan roads.
The work is moving on well generally, but we also urging the contractors to do quality work. Because one thing to do the work, but also another thing to have the right work done. So we expect that after these roads have been completed, they can work for a span of 20 years.
Yeah, kati wano twalabye enguudo zirina okubanga ngazi. Wadde tetulina space kwate twasasula bantu. Naye twagala okukola oluguudo nga emmotoka zeewadde space.
The city dwellers share their experiences on the ongoing works.
Bino ebinya bye baazibukula ebi tebalina kye baakola. Wano amazzi mangi, ebinya bye baazibukula ebimu emirala tegyatuuka ku gakikubo.
Akagoma baateekamu katono. Kati amazzi gali we gajja gasaanikira ekibundi. Singa mubanga mugyemu ekigoma ne mukolawo nga kapuli.
The roads that have been under inspection today include, among others, Kabega Road, Machindye, Newport Bell Road, and those in industrial area. Justin Nakami, UBC News.
And in the Park Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, in collaboration with researchers from France, have uncovered a large extinct mammal resembling the size of a hippopotamus. The findings shed light on the existence of water bodies in Karamoja over 20 million years ago.
Since 1985, researchers from France, led by Professor Martin Pixod from the National History Museum in France, have been conducting research in different areas in Uganda, especially in Karamoja sub-region.
So that also tells you about the environment, because the millipedes, they don't live in the desert. They live in wooded, foresty areas.
20 million years ago, Mount Napak was one, but due to volcanicity, it was separated into 3 mountains, which are Napak, Alerek, and Akzim, found in Iriri Sub-County, Napak District. Martin and others work closely with the locals from Napak District who help in searching for the creatures.
Ended up in understanding what is here, maybe even getting to know where the sites are, so they basically help us in identifying the sites. Using the Karamajongs to do what? To study, and then we work together to see that as we do conservation, we also learn about our environment.
This week, the team discovered a large extinct mammal close to the size of a hippopotamus.
It's not a hippopotamus, but it's the size of hippopotamus. So these big animals were living here about 20 million years ago.
Technocrats from the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, led by the Acting Assistant Commissioner, Museums and Monuments, and researchers from France, explain how Karamoja environment looked like 20 million years ago with water bodies.
Tortoises in this area. So when you're reconstructing, you get to know what is here as a stone, but it is a tortoise. It means they once lived here.
Where there is water in the recent environment, so we still hope that probably there was a lot of aquatic life in this area of Napak.
But what happened to those creatures?
Does it tell us when we go back to policy in terms of education, how we learn about it? Because if it was, we had such animals 20 million years, it means that because of climate change, okay, of course now we see that where there were rivers, where it was forested with big woods, you know, big forest, huge woods, timber, now it's not there because of desertification.
Of the clearing of the environment, we are losing them in Uganda.
NAPAC was named among the 100 world geological sites.
Submitted and accepted last year, so it was recognized as one of the 100 geosites, I would say, and we are still working together to see that we make it a more of a UNESCO geological site.
The SG announced that government is planning to set up an open-air museum in NAPAC district this year.
People to come here, okay, move around this bush, and they see that there is something here. There is a fossil here, you see, you interact with them.
NAPAC Resident District Commissioner Dennis Okori and NAPAC Tourism Officer said this will transform lives in Karamoja.
The district can economically be empowered by tourists coming to visit the area if we streamline the activities here. We put up a one-stop center where people get directory. We recruit local people to be able to work as guides. We give some scholarships for the local people from Karamoja to go and study.
Those ones who are idle, at least when they see that the initiative is good enough, is developmental, I think some will be forced to take the initiative instead of thinking of raids.
The Assistant Commissioner at the Ministry of Tourism, VSJ, revealed that creatures found in the Karamoja wilderness will be taken to Uganda Museum.
Now, the Managing Director of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, Winston Agaba, has expressed gratitude to the President for a directive that mandates all government institutions to advertise with the corporation. The message was echoed by the Director of Finance, Peter Kagwa, who addressed criticism from private media houses, highlighting UBC's diverse coverage and its national mandate.
The Managing Director, Winston Agaba, has thanked President Yoweri Museveni for recognizing the corporation's potential. This was contained in a message delivered for him by the Director of Finance and Administration, Peter Kagwa, during the training of PDM Trainers Program at Uganda Broadcasting Corporation.
To thank His Excellency the President of Uganda for the directive that he made towards resourcing the national broadcaster for Uganda. Our problem as UBC is funding, not resource gap capacity. If not so, we have the most well-educated, skilled, knowledgeable, and demonstrable staff.
The training attracted Uganda Broadcasting Corporation staff from its 11 radio stations and 4 television stations. The Director of Finance, UBC, Peter Kagwa, emphasized the importance of using indigenous languages to effectively communicate vital information to the people.
Should stop comparing themselves to us. We are a national broadcaster. We are too big. They compare themselves to us, but even all the stations that are up country are not situated there, are not put there because of commercial purposes.
UBC's mandate is to educate, inform and entertain citizens in 27 languages, making it better placed to deliver understandable information to the grassroots. He emphasized that UBC plays a vital role in educating, informing and entertaining the nation.
Once the PDM was commissioned, our staff, immediately according to our mandate, started educating the masses about the guidelines of PDM.
The PDM Secretariat and UBC have been diligently working to educate and engage the masses about the program's guidelines.
UBC has the biggest network in the country and interacts with many people, and therefore it is so key that they should be the people we should be dealing with, because they will help us in not only mobilizing but also sensitizing the population about the PDM.
Programs Manager at UBC, Doreen Ndezi, assured that the corporation has archival materials and training initiatives to ensure the success of the PDM in transforming the lives of Ugandans.
We've covered the practicals, we've done digital issues, we've now learned more about PDM, we've learned how to archive, though we did partial because of time and resources, but we know we shall keep. These are building blocks.
The PDM program aims to transition households from subsistence to enterprise groups, providing training and access to credit through the revolving fund. Despite initial skepticism, the initiative has garnered overwhelming excitement and support from the public. The training of trainers at UBC has concluded, and the nation remains hopeful for the success of the parish development model in uplifting communities across Uganda. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
It's time for us to take a short break, and of course we will return with more news. Stay with us.
Uganda waraji batusako manrane chikona tena tekobo seko season yakuna savu July kuma Mount Papa's Hall usasule kwa MTN mobile money usasula gumu chitundu MTN usasule nega nkomitano iga stemu kagatano stamu enda munana hasha kwa MTN ufune tiketi yokati wabula kumliango usasule mitwale ibiri yepe mitwale tano atemeza ya milioni biri munana July Kodin Hotel mkono wenda July Nikan Resort Hotel Kuminatan July France Africa Jinja Habili mbili July Maria Flema Saka Habili mwenda July Afro Club Eka Sangati Ate yoyo noku yingi na mutualo Wafujini Dwamo Sente Talent Africa Victoria University Suzu Property Consultants Pepsi Max Uganda Waraji
MTN.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or gift.
Get freaky too! Dial *100*0# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *100*0#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *100*0# to get started.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
The land take for development of Tilenga, Kingfisher and East Africa crude oil pipeline projects in Uganda is approximately 6,900 acres with close to 10,000 project-affected persons. The compensation process involves an inclusive and participatory resettlement action plan study that provides for cash payment, physical resettlement and livelihood improvement packages for the affected persons. 90% of all the project-affected persons have been fully compensated. 200 replacement houses have been constructed and handed over.
Ngati Agnes mfanazo. Aberu maoto beru kabesendra wanyaru lum. Agera ot lum top. Onede podu pio. Ejuga majigera ot ma eni matinani iye. Maleng adonga chopo poringo kumacha. Sente dano wangu moko ola nyao kodole moko machalo dielde. Moko konyo kodawia school nyekwa ya gibeteka somode.
Communities are also engaged in vocational skills, agriculture, financial literacy programs, employment, and contracting opportunities to improve their livelihoods and grow community content. The Petroleum Authority of Uganda, creating lasting value in Uganda's oil journey.
And in talking news, MTN has improved on their data voice bundles. You can now call across all networks for the same price. We've talked to several eyewitnesses on the ground, and this is what one of them had to say. Amos, did you hear about the MTN daily voice bundles? So, to join many more other Ugandans enjoying these MTN daily voice bundles, dial *100 *21# or use the My MTN app to start enjoying. Hey, stay tuned for more offers from MTN.
Welcome back as we continue. The Kabaka of Buganda, Ronald Mwenda Mutebi II, has advised leaders to ensure people they serve have a good living standard. His Majesty was commissioning Sentima housing estates that are to be sold at lower prices to enable people live in good places. Buganda Kingdom, in partnership with Georgie Group, is building the houses, 116 of which are ready for occupation.
Tusaba ne bannamikago abalala okutwegattako mu nsonga eno. Tukubiriza abo bonna abonaagula enju zino okuzirabirira obulungi n'okutuukiriza obweyamo bw'okuzisasula ng'endagaano bwe zinaalambika. Okuba n'ennyumba ezisulwamu era nga zitegekeddwa bulungi, eryo liba ddembe lya buli muntu. Liba ddembe lya buli muntu era abakulembeze balina okukituukiriza.
Obulungi n'abatuuza abagezaako kubatuuza we mutudde.
The act of the Kabaka being in our midst and launching this housing project speaks volumes about the quality of housing that the people, especially in this Busiro County, deserve. We therefore call upon all people in Busiro and other people in Uganda to ensure that they improve the standards of their homesteads. Good living means good life, means long life. And I want to add my voice to that of the chairman of Buganda Land Board and call upon government agencies to bring us the amenities that are important for the development of the area, especially the roads and water supply.
Which not only marks the official opening of the remarkable housing project, but also a great milestone in the development of affordable housing sector in Uganda. Georgie Group and the Buganda Kingdom have enjoyed a fruitful cooperation for 9 consecutive years. Undoubtedly, today's ceremony will elevate such pleasant cooperation to a new level of success.
Ssaabasajja Kabaka, tukwebaza olw'enteekateeka y'okuzimbira abantu bo ate n'okusiima ennyumba zino zizimbibwe mu Busiro.
Now, architects of Uganda have been challenged to consider environmental factors when designing building structures in order to avoid disaster occurrences. This concern comes in the wake of numerous cases of collapsing buildings and flood occurrences in the area where prior planning and design have not been well conducted. During the annual symposium of the Uganda's Society of Architects, Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Engineer Hilary Onek, emphasized the need to involve architects in every planning process.
Buildings under construction have collapsed before completion. Homes have been submerged and houses flooded, leading to displacement. Bridges have been waterlogged, flooded and weakened, leading to destruction, thereby paralyzing transport. All these have been partly attributed to improper planning and poor building designs, leading to unfortunate incidents like these. It is at this point that the role of architects is coming to the fore as experts in prevention of disaster occurrences.
To me, architecture is a lifestyle. Even when you are poor, you have a lifestyle. Your lifestyle must reflect some form of art in your life. It's not about money.
This message was shared by Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Engineer Hilary Onek. He was here to close the two-day annual symposium for the Uganda Society of Architects.
We have passed in cabinet, I think there is even law that that made it mandatory that the whole country is a planning area. But who are those planning? Are they geographers who are planning it or architects? The architects should be used. Architects should plan the whole country so that really we are planning.
But why do buildings collapse? Why do homes get submerged? And why do houses get flooded and people displaced?
It's all about the whole aspect of people doing their own building while they are not experts in that aspect because of the challenge and perception that they think professionals are expensive.
We propose building structures that can allow for the continuity of the ecosystem. For example, if people are staying close to a wetland, we can have suspended draft structures that can allow for the changing fluctuation of the water tables and the water to continue.
And also material being used for the structure has to withstand that humid environment, the water and so forth. So all those are the combination of architectural design and civil engineering component that would put together a structure that can withstand those disasters.
To actively participate in prevention of such disasters resulting from building and construction are suppliers of building materials. Some were presently active during the symposium.
Disaster management wise, we have very good products. Our TMX bar, for example, in terms of earthquake, in an event of an earthquake, we are very sure our products will not break, though they might just a little bit tilt. Now, this is in an extreme earthquake position.
We also have a team in-house at our fabrication systems that when we come across a structure or design that is not well clear, we also advise on how to go about it in order to avoid such kind of natural calamities.
The 2023 version of the symposium was held under the theme Design for Resilient Communities, Building Sustainable and Inclusive Environments. Henry Okrut, UBC.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or gift.
Get freaky too! Dial *100*0# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *100*0#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *100*0# to get started.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Mbara and Jinja.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Welcome back. Let's turn to business. The Central Corridor Transport Facilitation Agency has seen significant development in the 2022-2023 fiscal year, reaffirming its position as one of the trade routes of choice in the East and Central Africa. Notable highlights of the fiscal year include Malawi becoming the corridor's 6th member state, as we hear more in this report.
Led by the newly appointed Executive Secretary, Advocate Florio Kanju, the agency has made remarkable progress in various priority areas to serve member countries efficiently. Advocate Okanju, in his commitment to rapid transformation, engaged stakeholders from both private and public sectors across CCTTFA member states. His efforts have resulted in the initiation of crucial trade and transport facilitating projects, including rehabilitation of wagons, improvement of rail transport, training of marine cadets, and regular multi-stakeholder engagements.
And we provided to URC the support to rehabilitate these 20 wagons. These 20 wagons will serve the Central Corridor route. And we need to improve the capacity of URC to track cargo from here to Central Corridor route to Dar es Salaam, to Mwanza, and so on, and from that port to Uganda.
Notable highlights of the fiscal year 2022-2023 include Malawi becoming the corridor's 6th member state and Uganda handing over the rotating chairmanship to the Republic of Burundi.
As a country, Malawi, number one, we feel very, very happy to be here, invited. Let me reveal that it took us time to kind of like sniff into this, what exactly this is about. And then we were thinking, what's in it for us?
Non-tariff barriers which we impose on our traders. I think the new delegate from Malawi, highly talked about this, and we need to address them so that our corridor becomes attractive to the transporters and traders.
It is definitely going to be a good year, and we pledge our support to make sure that the vision that you have for the corridor is alive and fruitful.
Additionally, Marine cadets successfully graduated, further enhancing the region's maritime capabilities.
Let's promote transport by water. It is the way to go, so that we empower people to do business cheaply. And when the business community does business cheaply, it means they will sell their goods and services to the wananchi at a cheaper price.
Furthermore, CCTTFA, on behalf of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Burundi, signed a contract to undertake feasibility studies and preliminary engineering design for the strategic standard gauge railway project Gitega, Bujumbura, Uvira, Kindu. The Central Corridor remains the backbone of transportation and trading systems in the region, linking East and Central Africa to the rest of the world. Dennis Igoa for UBC Business.
Now, in the area of rail refurbishment, over 27,000 concrete sleepers out of the 47,000 required for the rehabilitation of the Mukono-Kampala railway line has been manufactured. The concrete sleepers will be used to refurbish the aging railway line in addition to combating vandalism of the rail infrastructure. Let's hear more from Dennis.
Imetia Construction, a Spanish company contracted to refurbish the Mukono-Kampala railway line, has exceeded the halfway mark of the railway sleepers production and is ready to start the rehabilitation works of the 27 kilometers railway line. The entire project requires 47,000 concrete sleepers.
27,000 we have right now between the stocking in this area and the panel assembly in both sides. We produce 280 sleepers every day. We are the capacity to increase till 500, 600 sleepers per day. Our actual project consists in manufacture 47,000 sleepers.
Concrete sleepers are not a new phenomenon. The technology has been around over a century, and because of their low cost, high durability, ease in construction and maintenance, the technology is being adopted locally.
The wooden sleeper, the life of a wooden sleeper, especially in this weather that is a lot of raining, is 5 years. Okay. And the concrete sleeper, the minimum life of a concrete sleeper is 60 years. Means at the end is cheaper and they don't crack.
Besides enhancing local content in the production value chain,
all the workers, they've only got their technicians and all the workers in Lugazi factory, 98% are Ugandans. Young fellows, recently qualified from technical schools and universities, they are the ones running the machines.
Imetia Construction is also deploying new and advanced technology to curb vandalism on the railway line. The rehabilitation works of the Mukono to Kampala railway line will cost 19 million euros, which is approximately Uganda shillings 76 billion. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Thank you very much there, Dennis Sigona. Imyoga SACCOs in Greater Bushenyi and Kole sub-region have demonstrated remarkable productivity, leaving a visiting team of Imyoga SACCO leaders from Busoga region astonished. Led by the resident district commissioner Namayingo Robina Mugerwa, the team witnessed the positive economic transformation and employment opportunities these SACCOs have brought about through value addition processes.
The visiting team of Imyoga SACCO leaders from Busoga representing the districts of Jinja, Iganga, Kamuli, Kalido, Luka, Buyende, Bujiri, Bugweri, Mayuge, Namtumba and Namayingo has been inspired by the successful practices observed in Greater Bushenyi and Kole region. They plan to implement similar initiatives back home to enable the Busoga benefit from Imyoga seed funds and experience the same positive impact.
We are going to change everything. Because we have now got the strategies of how to lead a good group, we are going to change all our ways of behavior. However much behavior change is a gradual process, but we are in turn to do something good. And even those managers or other chairpersons in governance who are not doing well, we are going to organize them.
I learned from very many circles, and one of them is saving culture, is to allow somebody to save according to the income. And the saving mobilization, these people, when we reached here, we have learned that saving mobilization, these people go down to the ground and meet these people wherever they are.
I want to tell these people in Busoga that you be the culture of savings.
The team leader, the resident district commissioner of Namayingo, Robina Mugera, commends the Microfinance Support Center for effectively implementing the program, stating that it is the best approach to alleviate poverty among the Busoga communities.
When we reached this end, Imyoga is a success.
They have created the jobs for the youth. They have really made life easy for the beneficiaries. The testimonies we have seen from the beneficiaries is really a testimony that His Excellency the President was really visionary enough to say that at least he creates a Myoga. The people of Western are so thankful.
One shining example is the Bushenyi Ankole Hani Myuga Sacco, which empowers women to increase their household incomes by practicing with the Myuga seed capital.
So when we got this Myoga money, immediately we visited the UNBS offices and they helped us to satisfy our products. Now they can be sold all around East African countries. Even women who are not in business, they use that Myoga money to start business and they are doing very well.
Ruhinda South Walders Myuga Sacco, located in Kazinda Trading Center, Rukungu Parish, Ishaka Bushenyi, invested its Myuga funds in purchasing a compressor machine. This investment has added value to fabrication materials, thereby increasing incomes for the youth involved. The Deputy Resident District Commissioner Rampara District, Newton Mulanguzi, confirms that Myuga is a successful initiative that empowers communities and contributes to socio-economic development.
Generally, Myuga has made a touch in Rwampara towards socio-economic transformation. Many households now at least have an income because of Myuga. I think there must be routine monitoring of these circles and sensitization, then trainings by the microfinance center.
The impact of Myuga Circles goes beyond two examples. Other Myuga women circles in the region have ventures in various businesses, including piggery, farming, and restaurant business, thanks to the support provided by the Microfinance Support Center. Waita Robert compiled this report.
Thank you so much for being with us throughout the whole bulletin. My name is Patricia Lukoma, and of course, I will catch you once more at 10 o'clock. For now, stay tuned.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Did you know that our #1 value as a nation is to respect and protect the environment? With the current population increase of Uganda and industrialization, this has increased pressure on the natural resources, resulting into environmental degradation and global warming. Developing countries like Uganda could face 80% of the global climate change effects by the year 2030 if no action is taken. Join us here on UBC TV, Inspiring Uganda, on our Eco Plus program, where we bring you an in-depth analysis of issues that are disastrous to our environment. Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. only on your loved station, the National Broadcaster.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Yes, a very good evening to you tuned into UBC TV. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we warmly welcome you to this week's edition of One-on-One with Michael General Lukomwa. We bring variety of people, we discuss variety of topics, but the target is that you take something for a lesson at the end of the discussion. Now, each one of us grows or passes through a different kind of life to reach wherever they get to reach. My guest is Mr. Olauna Emmanuel Orum. He is a member of the Public Service Commission, I beg your pardon. He's a lawyer and a teacher and a civil servant, having had a life not so easy. So how did he manage to make it to this kind of levels, having passed through whatever he's going to tell us? Don't miss the discussion as we start. Mr. Olauna, we are so glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
Who is Olauna, briefly in a sentence to somebody watching us?
Olauna Emmanuel Orum is a son of a reverend, a late reverend, Reverend Fenekans Orum. It was Reverend Canon Fenekans Orum. He died in 2020 in the second bout of COVID.
Okay.
I'm a second born. I come in a family of 9, so I'm a second born. I grew up basically in the family of a reverend.
Okay.
And families of reverends are not the families that are very rich. We grow competing for virtually everything. It's a home that encourages and entertains all visitors. So that's the type of home I grew up in, sharing whatever little we had with everybody who came at home, especially in those days in the early 60s and the early 70s. That was the life I grew up with. I grew up in a poor family, but by the grace of God, I'm still alive. And I survived the effects of poverty to reach this level.
You are a product of a poor family.
Yes, I'm a
a teacher, a lawyer, now a civil servant, and now at the helm of the Commission for Civil Service,
yes,
Public Service.
Yes.
How do you make it to these heights? Let's start with your education.
I was educated in Kalaki. Kalaki is in the current Palisa district.
Yes.
From P1 up to P6. Then my father was transferred to Kabuangasi. There's a teacher training college there. I completed my primary in Kabuangasi demonstration school. That was 1975. I went to Bukedi College, Kachonga. It is now in Butaleja, but it was a prominent school in the entire Bukedi sub-region from 1976, and I finished my S4 1979, the year when the government of
Idi Amin was
overthrown. Yes. From there, my father didn't have enough money to take me to secondary,
to high school, senior 5.
It's 5 years. So he proposed that I should branch off. And his intention of me branching off was not only to give him relief, but was that if I branched off and I came up, I could help him to educate some of my other siblings, my younger siblings.
Okay.
So I consented. I decided to go to Bishop Willis Teachers College, 1980 to 82. I completed in 82 successfully, and I was posted by the Ministry of Education then to a primary school currently in Mbale City. Then it was Mbale Municipal Council. The school is called Nabionga. I taught for 3 years. Then I decided to sit HSC S6 as a private candidate. I was lucky that in Mbale there was what they call a private hall, which could allow people, private candidates, to register and sit examination. So I registered in the private hall in Mbale, and I sat and I passed.
Let us first understand that. What is private hall?
Private hall was a center for candidates who have not had an opportunity to study full-time in S5 and S6.
Yes.
Or those who wanted to repeat in case they failed in another school and they want to repeat. Maybe they don't have money to go full-time, so they decide to only spend money for registration.
Okay.
So I was in that group. We just paid money for examination, UNEB fees. It was good because if you don't have the money, you only pay examination fees. So I took advantage of those ones. Although I could go and get notes from the people who were in the neighboring schools.
Senior 5, senior 6 involves choosing a combination.
Choosing a combination.
So which combination did you choose? A senior 4 lever?
After S4, I decided to choose history, economics, and divinity, because I thought those I can read on my own and understand. At first I wanted to do French because I'd done French at O level. I really had a passion for French, But when I discovered that I would not get anybody to teach me French, because you can't teach yourself a language, I decided to drop French.
After senior 4, you went and trained as a teacher.
Yes.
You got a diploma. Why did you again go back for senior 5 and 6?
I went for senior 5 and 6 because, yes, there was a mature entry scheme in Makerere could admit people through mature age scheme. But I thought it was very difficult because mature age...
Not even the mature entry. As far as I know, if somebody has senior 4, then some other training of 2 years, it is weighed as equivalent to senior 5 and 6.
Yes.
Not so?
Yes.
So you already had this?
I had it.
Why again take the burden of going back to senior 5 and 6 to sit again for UNEB? Yet you already had a diploma with the 2 years.
It wasn't a diploma, it was a certificate.
Okay.
A certificate.
Okay.
I didn't have a combination at what that I could bank on and say I will use this subject and this subject to go and pursue further education at a university level. Because when you're in a grade 3 training college, you are doing professional subjects, foundations of education, you are doing those teaching practice, you are doing mathematics at elementary level because you are going to impart it to the children in the primary. So I didn't have a serious combination that I thought I could do. That's why I took the hard way. And I decided to say, let me go and do history, economics, and divinity. Probably I can go to university and do a Bachelor of Arts. I can do social work and social administration. I could also do law. But those days, law, they were looking at people who have done literature, which I had not done. So that's why I decided to go in that way. Secondly, people who had not gone through HSC, they were asking you you must have been out of school for about 3 years, 4 years. And I thought that was long. I didn't want to take long because I knew I had very many other obligations. I would want to marry, I would want to do A, B, C, D. So I thought by going the hard way, I would shorten the period of furthering my education. That's why I decided to do HSC as a private candidate just within 2 years after qualifying as a grade 3.
So you got sit for senior 6?
Yes, I said.
How successful were you?
I was successful. I got a C in economics, I got a D in history, and I got an O in divinity. And that is the time, 1985, when the then government was trying to expand Makerere. There's a time when Makerere had multi-campuses. She had a multi-campus in Chambogo, a multi-campus in Akawa for BCom. Chambogo was for teachers. There was another multi-campus in Kabanyoro for agriculture. And then Makerere was trying to expand to increase the numbers. So that time I didn't go to Makerere to do a bachelor's in a bachelor's degree. I missed by 0.8 that year, despite the fact that Makerere was expanding. But somehow I was able to go to Chambogo. By then it was being phased from National Teachers College, Chambogo, to Institute of Teacher Education. They used to call it ITEC. Actually, ITEC, I'm a pioneer student of the Institute of Teacher Education.
So where do you get the idea to join Chambogo? And then what course were you given in Chambogo anyway?
When I passed S6, I got 8 points then. This government admission board posted me to Chambogo automatically to do a diploma now in business education.
Okay.
It is also it was a diploma in education, but slightly to do business education. Those days the diploma in Chambogo was 2 years, but specifically for business education it was 3.
Okay.
Business education included subjects like commerce, typing, account, principles of accounts, office practice. Those are the ones I did.
I've heard of that diploma.
Yes, and because there were very many subjects in that course, they stretched it to 3 years. And that's what prompted me again to go further. I was saying, I missed to go to Makerere by just 0.8. And my colleagues who went there for 3 years were coming out with the degree. And me, who was unlucky to go to Chambogo to do a diploma in business education, I also took 3 years, but I was coming out with a diploma. So that's what happened. I completed my diploma and I was posted to Toro Girls. Toro Girls is in the east. It is in Tororo. It is a girls' school.
Now as a secondary school teacher?
As a secondary school teacher. Now I upgraded. I moved from primary and now I went to secondary.
I'll take you back to the point where you were a primary school teacher.
Yes.
You had come from a poor family.
Yes.
By God's grace, you get your certificate with a job as a teacher on government payroll.
Yes.
What again motivated you to think that you had to go for more education, that you ended up in senior 5 to do senior 6? What was the motivation?
What motivated me at that time, I didn't think that primary teaching is a noble, good profession. You are respected by the students, by the pupils, you are respected by the parents, but I didn't think that it was the end of it. And the salary of a teacher by then, like it is now, wasn't adequate enough.
How much were you being paid?
I was getting, I remember my first salary was 800, and I was getting around 800. By then, 1980.
800,000?
800 shillings, less than 1,000. Yes.
Runana?
Yes, 800. That was my first salary. So that wasn't.
What would it be equivalent with in the current currency we have? Around 200,000?
Maybe not 200. I remember if you wanted to buy a bicycle.
Yes.
A bicycle then was 4,000 shillings. So if you wanted to buy a bicycle, then you'd have to save without using for 5 months. So you look at the salary that right now
of a bicycle
for 5 months to buy a bicycle.
Somebody told me bicycle is around 500,000.
Yes, yes, about 500,000.
So what you were earning was
5 times less.
An estimate of 100,000.
Yes, 100,000 shillings then. Yes.
Of today.
Yes, of today.
Okay. You had to pay rent and all that?
Yes, of course I was in town. You have to pay rent, you have to buy everything, food and utilities in the house, everything. Like the urban life is. The good thing with me was that I come from Kabuanga, it's not very far from Mbali, it's about 15 kilometers, 15, 20. So every weekend I would go home and I bring some food so that at least it takes us for some time. So I was not buying food. Most of the things I was buying maybe beans, and if you wanted to eat some meat or fish, that's what we would buy. But when it came to dry ratios like rice, like millet, I would just come and stock. That would take us for some time. And probably that's why it was easy for us to survive. And I was saying with a number of people.
You are a son of a reverend.
Yes.
One would wonder, how do you talk about abject poverty in a reverend's house?
Reverends have always been poor people. You have never heard of an expression like that you are as poor as a church mouse?
Yeah, I thought they are talking about a mouse.
A mouse, yes. Because in the church there is nothing to eat. So even in church, in reverends' houses, there is little. Reverends get very little.
Why?
Because of you selfish Christians. You want to pay fragments, you want to pay the balance of what you bought from the newspapers. You go and buy matoke of 25,000, you pay 30 days.
Are you trying to tell us that the church has no arrangement for these men that serve God?
Now the church has come up with an arrangement of also paying salaries to their clergy. Those days they would say, this is a good church. People would struggle to go to rich parishes, and the poor parishes would be rejected. But now they have streamlined it. All the money goes to the diocese. Then at the end of a month, then they say how much money do we have. Then they pay their reverends a uniform salary.
Okay.
But those days you only paid a little from what you have collected in your own parish. So it became. There was a lot of competition of running to rich parishes and rejecting poor. But now they have standardized it. Doesn't get much, but the little they get, it is shared among all the parishes in every diocese. At least that's what happens in the diocese, Bukit diocese where I come from. They try to collect the money and it goes to the diocese. And then at the end of a season, they distribute, they see what they have got, and they distribute among the lay readers.
Is there a standard figure for a reverend and for a lay reader? Or they distribute according to what the envelope
No,
has?
there's a standard. There's a standard. It might be small, but it's a standard. It doesn't change from month to month. No, it is a standard. And since there are some months where you get more money, like Christmas season, Easter season, that's normally the beginning of the year. Some good money is collected, And from there they try to distribute over the year on to their various
the men of God are paid the salary.
Yes. It sometimes they sometimes skip. My father, when he retired, he became a pensioner. But sometimes they could skip and take 2, 3, 4 months. Then they say, come and pick 6,000, something like that. Very small, very small. That's why we sons and daughters of a clergy, it is incumbent upon us to support our parents, because we know they went through a lot to bring us to where we are. Sometimes we struggle on our own, but now we can't say struggle on my own. Let me leave my old Mzee.
So on a weekly basis, how much money do you think Mzee could get in church every Sunday?
Every Sunday, no, it was less than 100,000. No, every Sunday, no, not every Sunday. Every month. Now eventually they streamline where they.
No, I'm talking about the time when you were a child.
Ah, no, not the time when I was a small boy. No, it was so little. It was basically to buy a few utilities at home, some little food, and part of the school fees.
So where did you used to get this money to pay your school fees up to senior 4?
My father managed to take us through, because in the past there was this, I think the church in Canada was sponsoring some churches in the province of Uganda. We benefited some from the Canadian Anglican Church, something like that, where they would send the money, and then the church, the diocese, would try to help in paying school fees for some of us, the children of the clergy, who were in the bigger schools. I remember when I was growing, my elder brother, who went to Dr. Bote, Dr. Bote now called Borobo, it is called Dr. Bote. And the Canadian government was getting, I think was paying about 60 shillings. The school fees was 350 to 450. The Canadian was coming in and paying about 60. Bukedi local government also had a contribution they were paying. Then the balance the parent would pay. Even me when I went to Bukedi College, I never benefited from the Canadian Anglican Church, but at least I benefited from Bukedi local government. From S2, our school fees in the Bukedi College was 450, but Bukedi local government was paying 250. So my father was only in a year. My father was only struggling with to pay 200 for a whole year.
Okay.
So from S1, Bukedi local government paid almost half of what we were supposed to pay in Bukedi College. That's how we managed to survive. And HSC, wherever you were, S5 and 6 was paid by your own district. Virtually every district in Uganda had that arrangement, that the parents would pay up to S4. S5 and S6, the local government would pay. Then when somebody went either to Makerere or to NTCs or UCs, government would pay. Now that was full government's responsibility, full 100%. But for secondary, the local government would come in, but primary was basically the responsibility of our parents. That's how we managed to scribble through to reach where we reached.
We now see a teacher, primary, with primary teaching training, and now secondary school training. How do you gain again? So give us a picture of Tororo Girls and how you found now this new life of teaching at secondary education.
Now,
more especially from earning 800 shillings, how much were you earning this side when you now went a level higher?
It wasn't much. I think you only moved to around 1,500. But in Tororo Girls, I stayed there for a very short period.
That is a double of what you were earning?
Yeah, it was almost double, yes. Actually, the reason why I went to Tororo Girls is not that I wanted to teach in Tororo Girls. I wanted to escape to Kenya, because that time it was profitable to go and teach in Kenya.
Okay.
So the intention was to go and be near the border and scan what is across the border the other side, then I will escape. But when I went to Tororo Girls, I went to Tororo Girls when I'd sat for mature entry now for Makerere. When I was finishing up in Chambogo, I sat mature. And you would sit somewhere in March, but the results come out in October because the academic year was starting in October. So when I finished in July, I was posted in Tororo Girls. So I taught July, August and September.
So because you wanted to go to Kenya,
yes.
Did you influence your posting tutorial girls?
No, there were choices. You could indicate that I want to go to this area. Okay, you say I want to go to this school or this school or this school.
So they posted
I chose tutorial girls because of the strategic.
Okay.
The strategic desire I wanted to go to Kenya. Yes.
So you applied for mature entry in Makerere?
Yes, I applied. When I was finishing in Chambogo, I applied. So I went to teach my last teaching practice in Busoga College, Mwiri, and the results came out. I passed. The posting came out when I was in Mwiri, Busoga College, Mwiri, and I was posted to Toro Girls. But because Makerere still was taking time, I decided to report to Toro Girls, and I taught for 2-3 months. Then the results came out that Makerere had been admitted. So.
For what this time?
Now I was leaving. Now that's the time I was beginning to depart from the teaching profession. Makerere admitted me for political science, social administration, and economics in my first year. Yes, because that's what I'd applied for. And when they called me, I decided to wind up my activities in Toro Girls, and I went. Government was paying us. Those days, life in Makerere was good. You could stay in Makerere for the whole year because of the boom without going home. So I began my life 1988. That's when I started I was
studying your degree.
My degree course in Makerere. And I went through successfully, and 1991 I completed.
You graduated?
Yes, I graduated.
3 academic papers now?
Yes.
Our certificate in primary teaching?
Yes.
The diploma in business education?
Now I've got a Bachelor of Arts in Social Sciences. So when I finished, I joined the hospital as a hospital administrator.
Which hospital was that?
Soroti. Public service advertised, and I applied. I wanted to become I applied for 2 jobs: immigration officer and the hospital administration. So I preferred hospital administration as my first choice. And when the results came out, I passed, and they posted me to Soroti Hospital. So now I shifted from a person who was a primary teacher, secondary teacher. Now I shifted to hospital administrator.
How much were you being paid now?
Now life was good. It was beginning to become better. I think I was getting about 300. When we began, I was getting about 350 to 400.
Wow.
As a hospital administrator.
From 1,500?
Yes. That was.
You started with 800 shillings?
800.
1,500 shillings?
Yes.
Now to 300,000?
Yes, 350.
Wow.
Yes.
Were you still greeting people around the village?
Yes, of course I was greeting, but of course it wasn't good enough, but at least it was compared to where I started from.
Yes, that is multiplication.
Yeah, the big strides had been made.
Yes.
Big strides had been. So I went and began as a hospital administrator in Soroti, and I was there for 4 years.
From Soroti where to?
From Soroti, I was again as a hospital administrator. They transferred me to Mbale. In Mbale, I was lucky. I was given accelerated promotion from hospital administrator. I jumped senior, and I became a principal hospital administrator. From there, the public service advertised for the position of principal assistant secretary. I was a principal hospital administrator. I applied, and they invited me for the interviews, and I passed the interviews. So I was redesignated from a principal hospital administrator to a principal assistant secretary. Now that's the line of the president's office. The line that starts with assistant secretary, senior assistant secretary, principal under secretary, and permanent secretary. So I crossed over now. I crossed over now from health. Now I came to president's office, and I was lucky.
Which year was that?
When I became a principal, 2006. But I became a hospital administrator in 1995.
Okay.
Yes.
So 2006, that's when you joined the mainstream public service.
Public service under President's Office of Principal Assistant Secretary. And I was posted to reside in Ministry of Water.
Okay.
And I served there for 2 years. I was transferred to Ministry of Trade here in the town center. And when I came to trade, I was lucky. The undersecretary I found there was retiring. So the moment I came after 2 months, my boss retired, and the public service, Ministry of Public Service assigned me the duties of acting under secretary, and that's how I began. And 2 years after, I was confirmed as under secretary in 2010.
Substantive?
Yes, substantive, yes. Substantive. And I served at that point in various ministries. I began with the Ministry of Trade, I was transferred to Judicial Service Commission. I was transferred to Ministry of Lands. I was transferred finally to Ministry to Education Service Commission, where I retired from in 2020. 2020 is the year I completed my LLB, I told you. Because towards the end of my life in the service, I decided to enroll for...
Actually, as we take a break, let us end with that. A successful civil servant, I would say, how again do you choose to go for the degree in law and for what?
I sat interviews twice for permanent secretary and I wasn't successful.
Okay.
And I thought I was going to retire in the next few years, but I still felt in me that I was strong enough. I didn't want to go and sit at home and yet you are feeling very strong. I conceived that idea that if I did law, I can establish my own firm and become relevant for another 10 years
okay.
as the energy goes down. And that's how the idea came. And since I was in Kampala here, I tried other universities and I followed IU Islamic University in Uganda being the nearest and offering the evening program. I wanted Uganda Christian University. But when I went there, they told me they only have day. But I was still an undersecretary in the ministry, and they also wanted me during the day. I couldn't manage that one. It would mean that I would ask for leave without pay, and it wasn't making sense to me. So I decided to say, let me go to IU, and they admitted me in 2016. So every evening, by around 3 o'clock, your mind begins, you are now shifting gears from office work to go and mix with young boys and girls in IUI.
Okay.
At first looked long, but once you have started, the next time I discovered...
You hit one semester, hit another?
Yes, and I was like,
year, 2 years,
I never had any retake in any paper. So 4 years after, I graduated, 2020.
But the year you were retired?
That's the year I retired.
So you retired with a degree in law?
Yes, a degree in law, yes, LLB.
Wow.
Yes.
So you started as a primary school teacher?
Yes.
Earning 800 shillings?
Yes.
With a certificate in primary teaching?
Yes.
You sneaked into secondary education where you got your senior 6?
Yes.
Senior 6? You said you got yourself to Chambogo again?
Institute of Teacher Education, Chambogo.
You studied the diploma in business education in Chambogo?
Yes.
Under the sponsorship of?
The government sponsored me.
The government sponsored you?
Yes.
Then you now came to Makerere. They allowed you, you started teaching in Toro Girls?
Yes.
Just 3 months?
I came to Makerere.
You came to Makerere where they had admitted you for a degree in social sciences?
Yes.
On graduation?
I joined the hospital.
You joined the hospital as an hospital administrator?
Yes.
Where you rose through the ranks?
Up to principal hospital administrator, yes.
Up to when you came to Kampala?
Yes.
In Kampala, you worked as you studied and you are now a lawyer?
Yes.
Wow. I have the best guest for every young man who has dreams and goals to score in life. How do they do it? Please sit, enjoy this break. Let's get to you.
Ekinene kikino Jemisinde mu bunabyalo ejjabagoberezi ba Kristo East African Christian Marathon jangu tuddukira wamu mu misinde gy'essaala gino nga 13 omwezi ogw'omunaana erugogo ku kisaawe kya hockey jangu okikirira abo mu makago mu misinde gy'essaala n'ekiruubirirwa ekirungi eky'okuzimba ekifo awanakwatirwanga amasimu ag'ettundutundu ly'obuvanjuba bwa Africa weetabe misinde gino oddukire wamu n'omusumba wo abakulembeze b'ekitundu kyo abanaakiikirira Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, DR Congo, South Sudan n'abawano mu Uganda. Jangu odduke ne Captain Mike Mukula agenda okukulemberamu abaddusi. Ddukirira enteekateeka eno ng'ogula omujoozi mw'onaddukira ku mitwalo 2, mitwalo 3 n'emitwalo 10 kuba enteekateeka z'emisinde nga gino zikyusa ensi. Okumanya ebisingawo kuba ku noti 781 885 noti 55. Emisinde gya East African Christian Marathon giwagiddwa UBC TV, Star TV ne Star FM emmunyenye y'eggwanga.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real.
I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Joko, I thought I was one of your friends.
You are,
but you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief, and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government, designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life. Ebiseera by'okuzaayo abaana mu masomero tebiteekwa kukaluubiriza n'akatono. Eno kusimba nnyiriri mpanvu kano kalipagano ka bidduka. Simanya kuzunga na banka siripsi. Kati osobola okusasula school fees z'omwana wo ate n'okola n'ebirala ntoko ku ssimu ye ey'omu ngalo. Ekikola kyangu nnyo. Nyiga bunyezi *165*8 ogoberera ebikulagiriddwa oba okozese app ya MTN Momo. Ate kati okola ki olwaleero? MTN Mobile Money Uganda Limited erungamizibwa banka enkulu eya Uganda.
UBC One-on-One, we thank you so much for watching and welcome you back from the break. Yes, Mr. Olauna, so you have passed through all this to be where you are. What do you think has been the biggest motivator all through this journey? From the Reverend's house, where you say even food at some point was not enough, to tables of decision makers in this country. What do you think has been the biggest factor, mover of things?
The English say that necessity is the mother of invention. When there is necessity, you try to do everything to address what you lack. I also thought that happiness is a necessity. So because I wanted to be happy in the future, I had to do everything possible to try to create conditions then so that I can be happy and successful in the future. So the background that I came from created the necessary conditions for me. I'm also lucky that I don't drink alcohol. So I don't spend my evenings in those other bufundas, as you call them. So if I'm not tired, I'll do something meaningful. Maybe I'll read, maybe I'll do something that can help me in the future. So I also attribute my lack of drinking also to my success. But the most important thing is patience and not relenting on what you want.
In the story you have shared, you are not a patient man. I wouldn't say you're patient. Because for how long did you teach in the primary school in Bali?
3 years.
That was too long actually.
Yes, it was long.
Then you went for your senior 6?
Yes. I went for senior 6 when I was teaching. Those 3 years.
Actually, in the 3 years you were studying?
Yes, I was studying.
That is not a patient person that would.
Not for that. I understand.
Now, after senior 6, the results return and right away they called you to Chambok.
Yes.
You came and studied.
Yes.
From Chambok, before even the end of the diploma in Chambok, you were applying in Makerere.
Yes.
That is not a patient man. Makerere results returned and you were somewhere already. I don't call that patience.
The patience I was referring to is being patient with what you want, not giving up. Maybe that's the right word.
Probably.
I should have used that. I didn't give up on what I wanted. I knew the goal. I was seeing it at a certain level, but I didn't give up. So I kept looking on to that goal. I might have had some obstacles here and there. I might have had some failures here and there, but the good thing is that I kept my eye on the target. And that's the patience I was talking about.
At what point did you get a family? Your own family?
Yes, I got a family after graduation from Makerere.
Okay.
I graduated in 1991, but I wedded in 1995, 3 years.
Okay.
Because when I was at the campus, when I was a 3rd year, that's when the girl I had married came as a 1st year. So I had to wait. She did agriculture. I had to wait for her to complete. Then I conducted the work.
Because in your story, many people get challenges that stop their journeys when the family aspect now shows up. Did you avoid it throughout? Not until you realized that at least
I did. I could have I had people admired when I was a grade 3, but I tried to resist because I knew if I had to begin the family then, probably I would have not moved far. Even when I was in Chambogo, I knew that if I admired somebody, I would go very far, and maybe it would handicap me. But also, I thought that if I was doing my grade 3 diploma, if I tried to approach a lady who was the same class with me, she would not take me serious. First of all, she would think we are age mates, we are the same level. So I thought maybe, and I resisted the temptation of getting family attraction at that level. But when I went to campus, I said, no, I think the time is coming. And all my colleagues I was with at other levels had acquired the families, some they began getting children.
But for your case, you waited?
No, I waited, yes.
Among all these steps, is there any that was on plan, or every step gave birth to the other? You being going for senior 6 when you were teaching as a primary teacher. Then senior 6 takes you to Chambogo.
Yes.
From Chambogo, then Makerere.
Yes.
Makerere to the hospital. Did you have this in plan that after this period I would want to have this? Did it happen as you wished, or every stage gave birth to the other?
No, it is not what I wished. Everybody would have wished to go straight.
Yes.
But for me, I used every opportunity I got and say, how do I capitalize on this opportunity? Then I would go to the next level. Then I would go that level. Then I would say, how do I use this opportunity? Then I would use that opportunity and then go to the next level. That one explains why I have several degrees, not because I want to go to school very much. No, when I was at a grade 3 level, my target was to complete. You complete, say, what do I want next? Then I say, I want to go to the next level. I wanted a degree, but unfortunately, it's the diploma that presented itself. So I completed that one. Then I finished that one, then I said, now let me go for a degree. Even when I finished the degree, that's what explains. When I was working in the hospital, I thought I should perfect my act as a hospital administrator. I applied for a master's in Makerere here. It was called Social Sector Planning and Management. A Master of Arts in Social Sector Planning and Management. Because I was looking at myself as a hospital administrator, and I was saying, how do I perfect my job as a hospital administrator? Now when I leave the hospital administration and I joined the mainstream public service as a principal assistant secretary, now I saw that social sector planning was not helping me as that I had done.
It was to be relevant.
Yes. So now when I reached this level, I came to Chambogo, to UMI, to say, now I want public administration and management. I began with a diploma first. Then when I finished the diploma, I said, why don't I perfect in my public administration and management? And that's how I went ahead and pursued that master's in Uganda Management Institute.
Wait, so there is a master's somewhere as well?
There are 3.
You told us about the certificate in education, primary teaching.
Yes.
The diploma in business education.
Yes.
Then social sciences and the law that you have just attained.
Yes. But before the law, when I joined the hospital administration,
yes,
I did a master's in social sector planning and management.
At Makerere University?
At Makerere, yes. Because we had joined the hospital, they were making us relevant. We first began with a diploma in health management.
Okay.
I did it in 1998, 99. Then when I finished it, I thought that was not enough. That's when I applied to Makerere for a social sector planning and management, because I wanted to make myself more relevant in the hospital. When I crossed over from hospital to president's office as a principal assistant secretary, now I thought the other one was the first. That wasn't going to help me here. That's why I said, let me also first get a diploma in public administration in UMI, Uganda Management Institute. And when I finished, then the urge came and said, why don't I perfect it and go and do a master's in the management studies of Uganda Management Institute.
So you have 2 master's degrees?
3. Then in 2011,
yes,
government of Uganda under DFID offered 30 places to do a master's in ESAMI. ESAMI is Eastern Southern African Management Institute based in Arusha, but they have a branch here in Bombo. They asked us to apply for people who want to do a master's, an MBA. The president had directed that he wanted senior managers in the government to have business acumen in running government ministries on the same line with private. So they offered 30 people to do a master's in business administration. It was fully sponsored by government. So I applied and I was among the 30 people in 2011 who were successful. So I began it in 2012 here in Bombo, here as a summit. So that was an MBA. That was the last master's I did when I was in the government.
So you have 3 master's degrees?
Yes.
How have you found education as an adult? Because even your senior 5 and 6, you were already an adult, a working class man, a teacher. You came to Chambogo as an adult already, a graduate with a certificate. You went to Makerere when you had just gone through 2 institutions, the Teachers Training College and Chambogo.
Yes.
So you were already an adult with freshers,
yes,
doing a degree. Everywhere you have been an adult, a senior man in class with younger people. How have you found it?
The first Chambogo and Makerere, I was 5 years older than the people I was studying with. The difference is small, you might not even notice.
Yes.
But what the most challenging one was when I was doing my degree in law in IU here. Actually, I was doing with the people, some of whom are fit to be my daughters and sons. And even recently, when I was doing LDC, the leader branch, I was with people. All of them, most of them,
way younger than you.
In fact, I could sit in class and say, can't I produce all of, and maybe the only 2 or 3 people I could not produce, but the rest of the people in the class were people I could easily produce. It was so humbling, and that one made me keep quiet, take a low profile, because I didn't want to argue. Sometimes you argue with them and you see that the argument is much better than you. So sometimes it is better to keep your ignorance. You keep quiet and keep your peace so that somebody doesn't say, look at this muzei. So most of the time I was taking a low profile.
Besides, working while studying.
While studying.
How challenging have you found that yourself?
Yes, it is so challenging, only that I've been lucky that I have got a very supportive partner. Sometimes most cases who understands. Sometimes you might not even have the money to run the home, then she comes in and runs the home. Sometimes you might not have the money to do 1 or 2 things, even pay tuition. And you know, these universities, there's a lot of photocopying, and sometimes you don't have all the money all the time. So I thank God that I have got a very supportive wife. Especially these courses I've done in the last 5 years. Really, they have been there. If I'm to give them, I would give them to my wife, because she's the one who has been supporting me. Okay, sometimes she complains that when will you ever stop studying, especially when maybe he wants to discuss, there's something, there's some development she wants me to discuss, then I'm telling her that I have an assignment to hand in tomorrow. That was, sometimes it irritates them, but that one's human, really.
You see, I'm looking at education as an adult. Now, the challenges of having children who have to go back to school, but your bank slips are also ready yourself. The challenges.
Yes, that has been a challenge. Anybody who has had education in adulthood has gone through that challenge. Sometimes you sit and say, "Oh, I send school first. I send the son or the daughter, I pay for myself." And being a parent, you pay for yourself last. You first say, "Let me pay for this one. Let me pay for the children. Let them go." Thank God that mine have always been in boarding schools. So it is only holidays where there is a lot of chaos at home. But during school time, the home is quiet. So it gives me the ample time and the environment to read.
And education is expensive. As a civil servant, how have you been managing your personal needs, the children, the family? then going to school with all those degrees that you have?
Yes, education is very expensive.
Yes.
But most of these ministries in government have got a component of education training for their staff. Some of them I could also benefit from. Some of the training component I could also benefit partly from that one, like all other staff in a particular ministry. So it wasn't basically coming from all of my resources, but I was also taking, because I was
taking advantage of some opportunities.
Some of opportunities because I was perfecting and improving my skills to serve government better. So I also benefited from such arrangements from the ministry. But the bulk of it came from some of my savings.
There are people who are in offices already working, but you cannot convince them to go back to school for anything. Actually, somebody will tell you, no, 5 million for a diploma? No. I can start something here. Every week it will be giving me 100,000 or even more. With that kind of attitude, what would be your view to such a person?
Life is very dynamic. Let me give you an example. 1985, 86, 87.
Yes.
I was being trained to teach typewriting in the Institute of Teacher Education. Typewriting, and I was a very good teacher of typewriting. You can ask some of the girls I taught in Intro Girls. I could even put music so that you type on rhythm. That was what was in vogue. That was what was prevailing. But right now, recently, the Ministry of Education has even abolished typewriting as a subject in secondary school. Now, my colleagues who remained typewriting teachers, teaching office practice, which has also been removed, they are going to be laid redundant because they are not useful anymore, because they didn't upskill their skill. That's the reason why I've been in that way. That because life is very dynamic, you have to move in tandem with the changing trends of life. Okay. If I didn't, I would not even. Now you ask my colleagues who never went, they can't even know. But the best they do is maybe on the mobile phone. That's where they can do. But some have wanted to be relevant with some of the changing trend, because I don't want to just, life is not static. And because life is not static in any very profession, even if it was medicine, the people who finished medicine 30 years ago, people who finished law 30 years ago and have not improved their skills, those ones will be left out. Okay. So I didn't want to be,
because things evolve every year.
Every year. So it is only those who evolve with the changing times who will remain relevant in life, and that's what I wanted.
So you would advise all of us professionals in different fields, given the opportunity, to go back to school?
Yes, even you in your present job. Time will come when these other machines will be out of vogue. But if you kept upgrading yourself, you'll make yourself relevant at every level. Whatever changes, it catches up, or you catch up with it.
How about people who weigh education with investment and business?
Yes, now that's it. Yes, but because even education is an investment. Investing in education, depending on where you are looking, it is true, and I don't blame them. Neither do I begrudge them, because for them, they can also go in that area of business and they are successful. In life, what is important is success. And success doesn't come in one line.
Yes.
It comes in several lines.
Diverse.
You might go to business, you are successful. You go professional, you are successful. You go in the civil service, in that area, you are successful. So you must be able to tell which line, where do you have a passion? Do you have a passion in business, or you have a passion in professional growth, or you have a passion in academic growth? So, and I would advise everybody to look at where the passion is and follow that line. And keep changing with the changing times in that particular profession or in that particular line. That is when we shall be relevant.
There must be a child watching us. Probably he is a visitor in a home where there is a TV, a screen where he is watching us, coming from a very poor home. What kind of advice would you give that child?
My advice to that child, those children, is that in life we always get challenges right from childhood, but the challenges we get should not stop us from trying to move away from those challenges. Every time, and like somebody beginning to walk, a child beginning to walk, you walk and fall, but you never fall and remain. So in the same way, when adults, when like the children fall and stand, even as adults, when we get challenges, we should try to overcome those challenges, jump over them and move on. That's when life will be good. That's when at the end of the day, somebody will say, so and so is successful because you overcame challenges. Those successful people also got their challenges, but the beauty with them is that they try to overcome their challenges whenever they met them.
So you are now a lawyer?
Yes.
You even finished LDC?
Yes, I finished LDC.
What next?
I thought I would open up a chambers. That was my dream, so that law is like a computer. If you don't practice it, you might forget it. I thought I would, on completion, I would continue and maybe establish a firm. But I was, by the grace of God, His Excellency the President appointed me as a member of the Public Service Commission.
Okay.
And it's a full-time job. But thank God again that in the commission, they also need the services of a lawyer. In the commission, we play judicial, half judicial services. We are lawyers, I mean we are judges. We determine things, we discipline staff. People come and make petitions, and some of them come with the lawyers. So at least I'm going, although it will be on a smaller scale, but somehow I'm going to be practicing my law and sharpening my skills in law, even when I'm in the commission.
So does the law firm dream die there?
It will not die because I will want to keep an eye there so that I keep relevant. Now that's my profession. I've left management. Now my new profession is law. So I don't want...
I'm now talking to a lawyer.
Yes, you're talking to a lawyer. I don't want my skills to die.
Okay.
I'll get my one leg there so that I can even go there over the weekend and say, let me see what you have done, and I read it through, and it keeps reminding me of which trend the law profession is going. But I'm also using it in the commission to try to guide here. If I find a problem, I have other colleagues who are lawyers. It is easy for me to say, I have this challenge, how do I overcome it? And they come in handy. Some of them are my lecturers who have lectured me at IU. Some of them have been lecturing me in LDC. So to me, those ones are, I'm keeping my tag on them. And in the process, I'm growing in the profession, even if I'm in the commission.
You have been in the education sector for long. What do you think can be added there to help people that maybe may go through it like yourself, or even the youngsters that we have who can pass through it straight but get to the success line like yourself?
The current generation of students is even lucky compared to the generation 20, 30 years ago. Because 20, 30 years ago, if you wanted to further education, there were very few universities. It was probably in Makerere. And if you are in Bale like I was, there was no online studies. You have to either leave that place and come and study here. But now, there are very many universities in the country. The last time I was seeing there are about over 50 universities in the country. They have got their pegs in very many other parts. The people who are watching me cannot say that I have not been able to go to school because the university is only in Kampala. Every major town in Uganda has a branch of all these other universities. And the universities, depending on what you put in what you are studying, the universities add little. But if you have got the passion, you only come in to clarify areas where you don't. So they have that opportunity. There are very many universities across the country. Two, there are very many opportunities to study online. Just pay school fees, and every time maybe you have some data on your phone. And maybe every Saturday you are in class for 2-3 hours. They are lucky that they don't have an excuse. Maybe the only excuse is tuition, because the universities are also expensive. Because I know I'm paying school fees for my son and daughter at the university. You pay about 3-4 million shillings in a year. 1.5, 1.6 in one semester, something like that. But they have the opportunity to study online they have the opportunity to study at the nearest branch of a particular university, unlike our parents and my contemporaries.
Your background, you actually said no one would want to study like the way I studied, but because of the poverty in my home is why I went through this. What would be your suggestion in as far as fighting poverty in Uganda is concerned?
Fighting poverty in Uganda lies in skilling ourselves. Skilling ourselves, we can skill ourselves in very many ways, and there are very many institutions that are providing skills. I want the young people to not to concentrate, not to think that the only way you are seen as successful is to have got a university degree. Very many have got university degrees and they are struggling to find where to place themselves. Some of them have been coming backwards and say, why don't I get a skill in this area of hairdressing, a skill in a salon, a skill in something, so that I can live without necessarily getting a job, without necessarily struggling for a job in the government. So I would advise the young people who are there, who are listening to me, that success comes in very many forms and doesn't come in only getting the degree. Success is you being happy. You can be happy by getting a skill, you are trained in that skill, and you can survive on that skill. Something hands-on. The parting word I would have to leave with the young people who are watching me, both girls and boys.
Thank you so much for the time and the information we have shared. My name is Michael Lukoma with Kenneth Tanaba and my partner in crime, Davis Kamukama, as usual. Wish you the best of the night and weekend. Bye-bye and good night.